Bitcoin was invented to replace government's printing of money. Governments print money, which values your money that you worked hard for and saved. And then they use that money to do things that aren't so smart, like blow up deserts in the Middle East and bomb weddings and just all types of, I mean, they have drones that kill cell phone locations. That's death by AI, basically. There's a lot of just bad stuff that America wouldn't do if it had to tax its people for it. If you said, hey guys, we want to go to war, we're going to have a tax. People are like, nope, no tax, no war, thanks. But since they could just print the money, they don't have to ask for a war tax. They're just at war all the time. It's a misallocation of resources. And it's probably not so great for all the people that have to go actually do the shooting and being shot. So Bitcoin, was treated like a joke for a very long time until it's not so funny anymore because it's worth billions and billions of dollars. And it's been one of the highest appreciating asset classes that's ever existed in the history of mankind, beating actual bubbles like the South Seas bubble and the tulip bubble. It started at zero. Now it's about $11,000 today. Wow. That's 1.1 million X from a penny. 1.1 million times more valuable than a penny. It actually traded below a penny. So people just don't learn. They're stupid. You tell them the truth, you show them the chart, you show them the reality. They still don't listen. They still don't learn. So it was nice what Bitcoin did, attempting to make a peer-to-peer replacement for currency that was controlled by math, controlled by the people, not controlled by the government. However, it kind of failed entirely to do that. It is not used as a currency and never has been. Nothing is priced in it and never likely will be. And that's okay because you still got so rich having it that everyone's just like, fine, okay, so it's not a currency. Okay, it's digital gold. The narratives have changed over time. It was supposed to be programmable money. No one programs in it. You can't. It's garbage. It's supposed to be peer-to-peer currency. No one uses it like that. Costs too much, takes too long. I mean, a transaction of Bitcoin costs multiple dollars, and you still have to wait a long time to receive your money, 10 minutes or more. That's horrible. It's garbage. But because everyone made so much money, it's still awesome. Okay. So what if we had something that did more? What if we had something that did faster transactions, was more affordable to use, had superior price performance, and attacked a larger part of finance than just currency? Currency is a small subset of finance. The printed cash in the United States and China is about $5 trillion. The amount of money that's in time deposits is about $7.2 trillion. It's a 50% larger market. So I said, all right, let's do that. And I invented something which has 13-second blocks instead of 10-minute blocks. So the transactions are faster, the transactions are cheaper. And until recently, it was the most liquid on-chain exchanged cryptocurrency in the world. Now there's some others that have more liquidity, but it's still, top 20, top 15 usually. And you can get into a stable coin and protect your fiat value without going through counterparty risk. If you're Bitcoin, you want to get into cash to protect your value, you have to beg someone to give you money for the coins that you send them, and they might not give you the money. But if you're in the Ethereum network, you can get into DAI, which is a peer-to-peer stablecoin, or USDC, which has Coinbase as a counterparty, which is nice, or other alternatives. You can use, I think GUSD is Gemini as a counterparty. There's TUSD. There's a lot of different stablecoins you can get into. So you get, and there's other things. We have lending, we have options, and this is all peer-to-peer without middlemen. It does vastly more than Bitcoin was ever designed to do or will ever do. What's the last improvement you got technologically in Bitcoin? A few years ago, you got a little bit of a throughput increase, and that's it. That's all you've received.
Richard, are you seriously saying you think you've got something that's better than Bitcoin here?
I know it is. I designed it to be. I was the premier Bitcoin maximalist, and I, said the truth about everything, and then reality changed. So Ethereum used to suck. Ethereum used to be centralized. They forked it. Can't do that now. They'd save Gavin.
So question, I've been in the space for about 4 years. The big change for me is that you're unlikely to meet somebody these days that doesn't know about Bitcoin. They've heard of it. It's that they generally don't, 95% of them, possibly more, actually don't have any. They don't really understand what it is. What's your long-term view of Hex here? Are you really thinking that this would become a new store of value? Exactly what have you got here?
Well, first, if you hold Bitcoin, you can claim Hex for free.
Yeah.
If you hold Bitcoin, can you claim some extra Bitcoin for free? No. I mined Bitcoin when it was
the average
free.
punter out there, if you're saying it's better than Bitcoin, we're talking massive numbers here, billions of people, right? That's your claim. So forget about the people that really understand, okay, you made that offer. If you've got Bitcoin, you can come in and claim your free hit. For most people, that's way over their heads. They're not going to get that. Really, we want to talk to the masses here.
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, look, for you guys in the masses, all you care about is the number goes up and you make money.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that if you bought Hex in January 5th of this year and held it until now, you'd have 40 to 50 times more Bitcoin and you'd have 70 times more money. 70 times more money. And all you had to do was wait not even a year. So if you like 70 times more money, so far it's been up 116x versus the dollar. It's been up 92x versus Bitcoin.
Okay, Richard, fantastic. I mean, the exciting thing here is you're a year into this project. So we're not talking about an ICO. You're not here pitching this idea, send me your money, I'm going to send you the tokens of the new project, blah, blah, blah. We've all been through that.
It's done. It's complete. There's no, oh God, we hope someone builds something. Everything is finished and audited and secure and done and launched complete.
Great.
There's no dreams.
I'm gonna throw this over to Jorden. Jorden was one of the first people ever to buy your project without a doubt. Got to know one. Jorden, say hello to the audience. Are you happy with what you have purchased, sir? What's been your Hex experience?
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, like me and Stefano always talk about, you just got to get in there and try shit out.
Thrash it out or thrash it out?
Try it out. Try things out. I was watching Richard for a while before he launched Hex, and all the hate that he was getting, like, it's a fucking scam. It's a fucking scam.
Still getting.
It's a fucking scam. Yeah, he's still getting it for sure.
Yeah, because people are retarded.
Yeah, you broke a lot of BTC hearts, and they all thought you were a dick. No,
they're gonna keep getting broken. They're they don't listen.
To see that narrative of how strong that was, like, this is a fucking scam from every person in the
we'll get to the hate in the moment in a nutshell.
No, but I mean, it's kind of what drew me to it. Like, there's got to be something going here to see such a strong narrative, and so I just checked it out and I'm like, yeah, fuck, I'll punt this. I'll take a punt here. But like I said, I did it a bit wrong. First day I did the adoption amplifier, put an ETH in, so I'm not like 50 or 60x.
I told everyone not to do that, right?
Yeah,
literally. So Hex had a very, very similar launch mechanic that EOS had.
Jorden,
and if you look at the EOS chart, everyone got the shit wrecked out of them on day one. Yeah. And so I said very clearly, you probably shouldn't FOMO in day one. Over and over again. Like, if you go into the chat, I timestamped the videos where I said these things. And I published the charts as well, the EOS charts on the internet with Excel sheets. So you could export the data yourself and the source as to how I generated them. If you go to t.me/hex crypto and you type !deal with no space, it pops open the videos and the timestamps. And people have even made dollar cost averaging contracts where we'll enter you into the AA lobby every day automatically. Like, I wish everyone didn't do that.
Making Jorden feel terrible.
It's fine. It's fine. Right now. Because you know what? The other thing was I DCA'd a little bit. So,
sure. And you're up anyway. And the price is higher than it was then anyway. And if you staked, you have more Hex than you started with anyway.
Well, let's go through the numbers, guys. Jorden, you got on day one. Yeah. We're nearly a year in. So let's talk through exactly what Hex is and what your experience has been. What have you made? What do you got?
On the first couple of days, I claimed the Bitcoins that I had, which wasn't a lot. And then I claimed, I put an ETH in to the adoption amplifier. So in total, I ended up with, I think it was 100,000 a Hex. Like I said, not big. Like at this point, the market was shit. Everything was going dodgy. So I was just like, I'll take a punt. This seems okay. But I got to give you credit, Richard, for Uniswap and actually trailblazing with DeFi. Like a lot of people don't want to give you credit for that, but I'll give you credit for that. That's great.
Thanks. We got some other things that we've done that other people haven't figured out yet. We're the first coin in the world to do an airdrop on layer 2. So the majority of ZK rollup layer 2 transactions are actually a Hex airdrop to Monarch wallet users. Yeah. I mean, no one knows who did the airdrop, but obviously it was someone that had a lot of hacks. What else?
Can I just quickly jump in before we get into
Sure.
chat that your average person just simply doesn't understand?
True. Yeah. Yep.
You're saying this is better than Bitcoin. Billions of people now have heard of Bitcoin. This it's been adopted by institutions. It's looking like it potentially will become a store of value right now, speculative store of value. So I've heard you talk about Hex being similar to, in language that most people would understand, a deposit account at your bank. So you roll up with your cash, you give them your money, and you get an interest rate. Effectively, that's what Hex is in very basic terms. Would that be fair to say?
Kind of. So they say Bitcoin's a currency, but is it a currency? No, but it has similar properties to a currency. And we say that Hex is a certificate of deposit, and it is, but it is very unlike what you would get at the bank. So at a bank, they don't actually lend your money out. That's a joke. That never actually happens. What they do is they get your money, and it goes on the liability side of their balance sheet. That's something they owe now that you've given them your money. But they use that as an excuse to get free money from the government. And then that money they actually lend out, and they pay you interest for that. And they pay you about 20% more interest every extra year that you lock your money in a time deposit, in a CD. It's different word in every country. Guaranteed investment certificate in Canada, bonds in the UK, time deposits in Asia. United States uses certificate of deposit. But basically, they all just mean lock up your money, you get more interest. So that is what we emulate in Hex. You get 20% more shares of the income of the whole system if you lock up an extra year. And you can lock up to 15 years, and the bonus goes to 10 years. It's sometimes smart to go to 15 anyway, so you don't have to restake at a worse rate later, because the share price only goes higher forever. Can't go down mathematically. So, in a normal CD at your bank, if other people don't use that product, you don't get paid more. But in Hex, if other people don't stake their coins, you get paid more as a staker. So all of the inflation in Hex, which is lower than Bitcoin, by the way, in 40 days, the inflation rate goes to less than 3.69%, which is lower than Bitcoin's ever was in the 10 years that it took to get to $20,000. So if you're the only staker in Hex, you get 3.69% inflation of the entire system, which is a lot of coins. I mean, the supply right now is over 400 billion. But other people see how much money you're making, and they go, oh, I want a piece of that too. And so they also stake, and some of them stake longer, so they get bonus shares. What you end up with is a system where the average stake length of people participating is 4.8 years long. I don't know of any other cryptocurrency in the history of man that has had people to believe in its long-term vision so hard that they will lock it up for 15 years. 15 years. We see people buy Hex on the market, drive the price up, and then lock it for 15 years. I've never seen that in any other cryptocurrency before. It's not even possible in any other cryptocurrency that I'm aware of. So it's literally amazing. And what do you think happens to the price of something that people buy and they lock it so they can't sell it for 15 years? It goes up. Who knew?
Any questions?
Not hard.
No, I'm listening. I really just don't have any question right now. Just listening.
Okay, so Jorden, you were one of the initial depositors. Yeah, I mean, give us your thoughts. Are you happy with what you've done?
Yeah, I mean, I broke it up. I didn't stake it all for one length. I staked some to come due a couple days after the big payday, which is, the big thing, right? Which is coming up November 19th.
November 19th.
Yep, November 19th. So you can't claim your Bitcoin after that, right?
The adoption amplifier ends.
Yep.
There's no more turning Ethereum into Hex directly in the contract. The referral program ends. The free claiming ends. The only thing that is left is staking, and that's it.
Right. So yeah, I staggered a bunch of my stakes. I broke it up into about 4 batches. Some for like a year and 10 days, one for like 2 years, one for 5 years, I think. So just like I said, I was experimenting, see how it goes, and I just haven't really touched it. And then I DCA'd a little bit about 4 or 5 months back when it was a bit lower, and staked that again for another year. So no problems. It's not like, I'm itching to, emergencies unstake. So I'm just patient, wait for it to go. No problems. All good.
Now listen to what he did to the price. He moved the price up, and then he can't sell. Some he plans to sell soon, but how many other thousands of people has done exactly that? And as long as new people are onboarding, which I look, and they always are, it could be the case that some large portion of the population performs this similar activity, and then you will see price appreciation, because that is what happens when a bunch of people buy something and no one sells. It's magic.
Huddle.
It's like a vacuum, like a black hole sucking in economic energy.
How would you compare Hex to the raft of other DeFi projects that have come into the space? Richard, what's your point of difference?
Well, most of them are terribly insecure, but they're insecure in ways people don't understand. So you do see a lot of DeFi projects just get hacked outright because they didn't take security seriously enough, or their developers were slightly stupid. Hex was delayed almost a year to get security right, which is why we have 3 audits, 2 security audits, 1 economics audit. Second, Hex has no admin keys, no off switch, no pause switch, and doesn't rely on a pricing feed run by a human anywhere else in the world. It's fully autonomous. If hex.com goes offline, I die. Everyone that's ever mentioned the word Hex dies. We all spontaneously evaporate. The system continues to work fine. It is unstoppable. The code is on the blockchain. You can run it. You mint your own rewards. That's it. So in these other DeFi projects, they rely on price feeds, and those price feeds are just actually run by a couple guys. And those guys can just change whatever their server says and destroy tons of projects, nearly all of them. Then if those guys don't decide to kill the projects, the oracles, because you have your Ethereum blockchain and you want to know what the Bitcoin price is. Well, some server has to run a Bitcoin client and then look at order books and then tell the Ethereum network what that price is supposed to be. That guy can lie and break everything. That's what an oracle is. The other thing is they have admin keys in most of these projects, and the admins can just change everything. They can change the rules, they can change the contracts, they can change the code. And so what you end up with is fake decentralization with no censorship resistance. They're not robust, they're not redundant, it's garbage. But those things haven't failed often enough yet for people to go, oh yeah, that's why crypto exists, to remove middlemen, to get rid of risk, to make things more secure. They don't learn, they're stupid. So I try and tell them these things, and some people listen and they don't lose all their money, and then other people don't listen and they lose all their money. So Hex is designed to be more secure, and it also, the number of fuck ups that you've seen in other projects is crazy. You can barely keep a list of them all. Like dead bodies float by in the river constantly, and Hex is just standing there strong. It's just hilarious.
The only thing better than DeFi is CDeFi, right?
Well, the centralized guys are worried that they're going to not be able to be in the middle anymore, and that's how they make a profit. So Binance makes profit on being in the middle of your transactions. So does every other exchange. Cryptocurrency was invented to kill and get rid of all of that. And that's what's so beautiful about Hex on Uniswap, is that you can trade with thousands of other currencies with no middlemen and no counterparty risk. It's just you and the contract, you and the code, simple user interface. You can't get exit scammed. They can't run away with your money. It's beautiful. The most liquid market in the world for Ethereum USD is on Uniswap now, which if you want to use it for Hex, ethhex.com is a good front end, because Hex is integrated as a default pair. It's just beautiful. Like decentralized finance is replacing centralized finance, and Uniswap is a special case. They don't have admin keys either. They have on the version 2, they have a very light admin key that lets them flip a switch to remove profit from future LPs, but it's probably not ever going to get turned on because people will just switch to another fork of it that didn't have it. So it's like there's no admin key that can break the system, and it can't retroactively screw anybody. It can just change the deal for new guys that, hey, if you want to add liquidity now, this address gets 15% of the new liquidity you add. So Uniswap's a special case, Hex is a special case, no admin keys, no oracles, very robust, very secure, no pause switch, no off switch.
So if I can ask a question, you mentioned that obviously that idea is to create something that is better on Bitcoin, and obviously we're now talking about the staking, the increasing value, and kind of all the return from having X. Are you aware, do you know if people shops, restaurant, e-commerce, like people are also like start trading that, or it's kind of like
See,
the majority of that?
everyone has this. It's funny when you thinking you understand crypto is very easy. Actually understanding crypto is very hard. People think that retail adoption is good for price. They're 100% wrong. Retail adoption is actually bad for price. Why? Take Gonzo there. He bought, he didn't sell.
Mhm.
Why? What's he going to sell for? Where are you going to use it? You're going to use it at your car dealership to buy a car? No. You're going to buy coffee with it? No. So he has less places to sell it. So he's really got to have a good reason to want to sell it. There's nothing enticing him with rewards and discount points to spend his hex. Well, that's good for the hex price. As a matter of fact, if you look at the Bitcoin price, which is up 1.1 million X right now, can you spend that anywhere? No, it's garbage. Can't spend it anywhere. But that's better for the price. If you instead imagine another world where Bitcoin's actually useful as a currency, or in this example, Hex is actually useful as a currency, and a lot of people adopt it. Okay, Mr. Joe retail guy comes and he buys some Hex. Price moves up a little bit. And then he gives it to a retailer, and the retailer sells it, and the price moves back down. And then who the fuck did that benefit? The price went up a little bit, and then it went back down a little bit. There's not that much value in that, which is the reason that gold is worth trillions of dollars, and payment networks like PayPal are worth only billions. So being a payment network is nothing profitability-wise compared to being a store of value. And stores of value are things that you buy and you hold, and you're not in a rush to dump to give to some retailer so that he can sell it for you. So actual retail adoption isn't that good for price. You'd be much better off being a store of value. And just for the record, we accidentally do payments better because we have higher throughput. You can do 2,000 transactions per second on zksync.io with Hex. We've got cheaper fees. We've got faster block times. We've got a more robust and secure mining network. Like, we do all that accidentally better, but that's not what I care about, because that doesn't actually make the price go up. What makes the price go up is people buying and never selling. That's what makes the price go up. People that buy and then sell, doesn't help very much.
Understood. So for you, the main focus on that would be like that as many people as possible, obviously, would stake at that point. So the less commercial usage there is, the better it will be for X.
Well, I mean, it's not bad, right? Because there's a float. So the latency between when they buy and they sell creates some partial demand. It's called a float. And it helps spread awareness with just brand recognition. But these are light things that help, right? Like Bitcoin's helped lightly by the darknet, but the darknet's like less than 1% of the market cap's valuation of the system. So it helps a little bit. It's just not the meat and potatoes. It's like, the butter on the bread. It's okay, but it's not the meal, if that makes sense.
It does. So going back on the staking, another question on that, like you said that the max amount is like 15 years. How is like the model over there? Like, is there like different tiers? Is it like every extra year it gives you like that extra 20%? If you stake more or less, does that change? Can you explain a bit more of that? Sure.
So it's a dynamic system, just like Bitcoin. If you're the only Bitcoin miner, you get all the inflation that year. If you're only a Hex staker, you get all the inflation that year. So now you've got this system where you have to decide what user behaviors do you want to incentivize. Well, we want people to lock longer, just like they do at the bank. And how does the bank get you to do that? They give you 20% more interest every extra year that you lock. It falls off after a while. They stop paying you extra around 10 years basically. But for the first couple of years, it's about 20% more per year. Well, in Hex, we do the same thing. And then what you have is a war for longer stakes. So if you're an average length, average size staker, there's technically no inflation in the system for you because you're the one that's getting the new coins. So there's like 0% inflation for you if you're an average length, average size staker. So who are the people that are actually being diluted? The people that aren't staking at average length, average size. So the stakers are virtually lending value through increased price due to reduced supply to the guys who aren't staked and who can harvest that price by selling at the market. So it's basically a virtual lending system, but there's no lending between parties. The lending mechanism is through the market with the reduction of supply. So So if you have an increasing or static supply, demand, and you reduce the supply, which is what staking does, it burns the coins, then you're going to have increased price. And that increased price can only be harvested by people that have free coins that aren't staked. Does that make sense? So in this system, if everyone starts staking for a really long time, it reduces the payouts per person, and then you find an equilibrium. And then if not enough people are staking, it ramps up the rewards that those people get until it entices more people to participate. This is the same thing the Bitcoin network does for hash rate. It's a finite pool divided by people, and that pool is divided by how much hash rate you get. And hex is divided by how much hex you stake and for how long. And long matters a lot. There's like a 1.1x you can get for maxing out at 150 million x, but you can get a 300%, a 3x. So you can get a 10% bonus for longer pays better, but you can get a 200% bonus you can get a 10% bonus for bigger pays better. You can get a 200% bonus for longer pays better. So longer is greatly incentivized, more so than bigger is.
So Richard, the content we're making right now, it's for a new series we started 5 weeks ago called 1 Bitcoin and 32 ETH. The reason we've given the show that title is obviously it's not financial advice. People watching this, we have to say this constantly. But for us, we feel that having a Bitcoin and 32 Ethereum, that's something that is important to us. Now, obviously, along the way, we're looking at different projects. We're testing out the utility of these. We're trading them. We're effectively, in many instances, sort of trading against Ethereum and Bitcoin to increase our stake in those. Now, obviously, there will be projects where we also think, okay, this is as good, possibly better along the way. Hence, having a chat to you today. Mm-hmm. One thing I want to understand now is Bitcoin and Ethereum have obviously been around for a while. Personally, I'm confident that there isn't a bug in Bitcoin. Nothing's going to go horribly wrong. I think it will go up in value. That's my personal opinion. I also think
you might want to rethink that particular opinion.
Well, okay, we'll come to this in a moment. We'll come to this in a moment. But my question for you is this. What are the risks associated? Jorden came into Hex on day one. The two of us don't actually own any Hex. What could go wrong? What could go horribly wrong with Hex? How
price could go to zero. The funny thing is actually the price can't go to zero, which is funny. So when you use an automated market maker system like Uniswap, it's actually impossible to force the price to zero. It always has some value numerically. So it actually can't go to zero, but it could go so close to zero that you would treat it.
Okay, so for example, you've compared it to a bank deposit account, right?
Yeah.
Your cash in the bank. You were on with Simon Dixon the other day. Great interview, by the way. He's telling everyone, pull your money out of banks. It's not actually legally your money when you put it in there. Brilliant guy, by the way, audience. Simon Dixon, link below. Really, where is my safety net with Hex? Could there be a run on the bank, so to speak?
Yes, the price can go to zero. Do you know what other? So let me tell you about cryptocurrency. I'm actually the only guy that explains this to people. Every cryptocurrency dumps. Bitcoin's dumped 85% numerous times. It dumped 65% in 2 weeks just a few months ago. When it was supposed to act as a hedge against volatility in the stock market, by the way. But when the stock market dumped, Bitcoin dumped way fucking harder.
Correct.
Altcoins dropped 95%. So right now, Ethereum had a high of $1,500, but you can buy it for $340 right now. It's down 70%. Bitcoin had a high of 20,000 several years ago. You can still buy it for 11 grand right now. So where's your fucking safety net in the blue chips, bro? You don't have one. There's no safety net in crypto.
Is the safety net in Hex better in your opinion?
I think it's more secure. I think it's more resistant to inflation bugs, of which Bitcoin has had 2 and had to roll back the chain once. And the last inflation bug about a year ago was found by Bitcoin Cash developer, and he could have minted as many free Bitcoin as he wanted for free, but instead disclosed the vulnerability. Bitcoin is spaghetti code. It takes a year to even get up to speed to try and make a commit to improve it because it's so fucking complex and non-modular. And the wallet and the consensus network is touching each other. It's bullshit. There's no spec you can write to. It's actually not good software. I mean, it's better than all the other garbage that's in blockchain, but it's like if you have good software, you have bug bounty program. Ain't no bug bounty program in Bitcoin. If you have good software, you have security audits. There's no security audits in Bitcoin. Hex has 2 security audits. It's a more secure system with its consensus network isolated. It's consensus code isolated in a smart contract no one can edit. And then you can't fuck it up accidentally when you're trying to improve the network. It's very hard to fuck up. But in Bitcoin, it's very easy to fuck up. They made the networking a little faster, introduced a inflation bug, which really means you can mint as many free coins as you want. And that someone caught it, not even on the Bitcoin dev team. Someone else caught it, the Bitcoin Cash developer team. And that's how risky Bitcoin is. So if you're into crypto for lack of risk, you're fucked. It's risky.
You taught me a hell of a lot about Bitcoin. So I'm just, maybe it'd be good to clarify at this point. When you launched Hex, I have heard you say many times that you're still a fan of Bitcoin. You're still out there promoting it. Has that changed? Is that what you're saying now, or?
Well, yeah, it's changed because Bitcoin sucks now. When I promoted Bitcoin
hasn't changed. Why does it suck?
Bullshit.
Nothing's changed.
Bullshit. When I promoted Bitcoin, there was a block size increase on the fucking roadmap from Blockstream.
I agree. I agree with you. Hence calling my brand HardForking. I found it fascinating that you could take that code and go, well, fuck you. You guys don't want to increase the block size. We'll go do this. Your chats with Roger Ver wanted some of the better material out there. I agree with you. We would all love.
The Lightning Network was just hacked again yesterday, by the way. There's more Bitcoin wrapped in Ethereum by order of magnitude or more than there is in the Lightning Network. Layer 2 Bitcoin is called Ethereum.
But Richard, would you accept that Bitcoin now has in a strange way, has sort of got to that point where nobody could agree what was happening with it. Therefore, it's almost been given that sort of hardened commodity-like value. It's not going to change. We know what it is now. It's, we're not going to buy a fucking coffee with it. It potentially is going to be that store of value in the future. Or are you saying it's a bag of shit and we should all buy here? Come on.
You have to understand what actually made the Bitcoin price go up. In the beginning, the only people that bought Bitcoin were people that hated the government. Gold bugs. That's it. Then Wall Street found it. And they were like, oh shit, let's launch this on the CME. And so they FOMO'd in and they bought their bags. And then as soon as it launched on the CME, it dumped from 20K to 3K. From the day it launched was the 20K day, down to 3K. Then a Ponzi scheme found it, called Plus Token. And they pumped it from 3K to 14K. Yeah, and then their founders got arrested.
To call that 8K to 14K because of Plus Token. Well done on that one, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I wouldn't have known about it if there wasn't for this girl on Twitter called W1.
Market behaved so irrationally at that point, it made no sense. You were literally the only person that called that out. So yeah, hats off to you on that.
Thanks, man. So the gold bugs FOMO'd in, then Wall Street FOMO'd in, and then we had the serial Ponzi scheming bullshit promise coin sellers, all the ICOs, they FOMO'd in, and the soy boys FOMO'd in with the venture capital guys into ETH. And then, okay, they all got wrecked, right? Ethereum dropped 95%, Bitcoin dropped 85%. So you basically just cycle through pockets of people that haven't bought in yet. That's the fucking reality. Now that those people have had some time to earn some money and have bags of money to capture from them again, you see the same thing happening again, except this time, instead of ICOs on Ethereum, it's DeFi on Ethereum. That's the new thing. And now there's thousands of new ticker symbols.
Mate.
True, we did. Yeah, that's true. So now people are investing in thousands of ticker symbols and getting financially destroyed. But that money that they're giving to these scammers to be financially destroyed, the scammers are tending to keep in Ethereum. So the Ethereum price has been beating the shit out of the Bitcoin price. So Ethereum's up 2.5 or 3x higher than Bitcoin from the COVID-19 drop. When Bitcoin dropped 65% in 2 weeks, Ethereum's rise 2 or 3 times higher. Why? Because Ethereum is where everything is happening. It's where all the new coins are launching. It's where all the new exchanges are launching. It's where all of the new innovation is. It's where the layer 2 is. It's where the rep Bitcoin is. It's where Hex is. It is where everything is.
I agree.
And if you believe,
yeah.
If you believe that people just buy these fucking ticker symbols because they want to get rich, well, how many ticker symbols are they buying on the Bitcoin network? Fuck all, nothing. But how many tickers are they buying on the Ethereum network? I mean, Uniswap, so Hex popularized Uniswap. We were 40% of their volume for a long time. The Uniswap token got created, as a response to a shitcoin copy of it, by the way. So something called SushiSwap made a fork of their project and tried to steal away their liquidity. And then they had to make a new token to respond to that one to steal all the liquidity back. Pretty hilarious. Well, that duct taped on bullshit token, which doesn't even actually function, its function is to do voting. No vote has ever been proposed and is unlikely to be, because it requires like $100 million to create a vote and like a couple $100 million to win it, something like that. It's just silly. That token,
Yes, I've
was
heard
given,
you tell everyone to sell their unis to buy Hex.
Yeah, yeah, and now the price is down 70% from when I told them to sell. So
The only ones that can vote are the centralized exchanges that created all the leverage on it, so they can
kind of
enough to create.
really, I mean, look, only 15% of the supply is out right now. Within 4 years, the rest of the supply will come out, and it's given to all the VC token holder guys. So the VC funder guys have a huge pre-mine. So like it's the founders are really the only people that are going to be able to vote. Anyway, so
Richard,
that bullshit duct tape.
Can I just come back to one thing, and then I'm going to put
Sure.
Stefano on the spot here.
Yeah.
Look, you know, for me, Bitcoin is going from strength to strength for the simple fact that, you know, it's got that network effect. People are aware of it now. People are terrified about what is happening to, well, potentially going to happen to the money they have in the bank. Everyone knows the equity markets are a fucking joke now. I mean, there's not even a word we can apply to it, whether it's capitalism, socialism. This is uncharted territory we're in. People are looking at crypto now. They're looking for different places to park money to preserve the wealth that they've built up over a lifetime of toil. They're terrified. And I think a lot of people are taking Bitcoin very seriously. And for me, that's why it probably will appreciate in value. In fact, I'm damn sure of that.
I agree with all that.
I want to come back to, you know, and
We'll just do it less than other things.
I massively respect you. And I know the Bitcoin community have torn you to shreds. Not that I think you give a fuck.
So the Ethereum guys, so does everybody that doesn't read the goddamn white paper. For people that aren't willing to actually open their brains and learn it, like I know more than them, I'm smarter than them, I've been at this longer than them, but they don't understand that I'm better than they are, so they don't open their fucking minds and listen to the education I have for them.
Sure.
Like it's just hilarious to me. You ask them, you're like, what does Hex do? I don't know, Ponzi. Okay, but what does it do? I don't know. Well, then why the fuck are you yelling if you don't know?
So I'm gonna put Stefano on the spot right now. You know, he might not say much, or at least he hasn't in this chat so far, but he knows his stuff. One thing we both agree on is, you know, you're a fantastic marketer personally, but you know, the big payday chat on the website and so forth, what was the terminology you used, Stefano?
So I basically, like Sean made me watching a lot of your interviews and so on. They're amazing, by the way. I really find that like very cool. But the main question that I have, like, because obviously in these interviews you're explaining X in a very good way, but then I'm looking at the website. Why that UI? Why that choice of terminology? Where is that coming from?
Which one? Which term?
The fact like that, for example, you have like the big payday that is coming in, and then like at the bottom you have like all those ads of like the big numbers of like the return and so on. Now, is that because like what you mentioned earlier, that like people are ultimately just interested on the money and the return, and so that's
everyone in crypto is a hypocrite piece of shit. I'm the guy that actually speaks the truth, and then I get attacked for it. The only reason anyone buys fucking cryptocurrency is because they want to get fucking rich fucking quickly. Period. Unless you're on the dark net, and there ain't but 1% of people playing with that. So I know why people really buy crypto, and I speak to their concerns. Here is the price chart. Here is the likelihood it goes to zero. Look at the volatility. This is all disclosed on the Hex homepage. Hex talks about you're going to sit through dips. Price is going to dip. Could go to zero. Could go so close to zero that, you know, it might as well be. That's on the fucking homepage of Hex. Is that on the homepage of any other website? If you go to bitcoin.org, does it talk about the 85% dips? No, they pretend the price doesn't exist because they're lying, scamming fucks. People get hurt by this fucking price. People bought 20K. I'm the guy that told you that was the top. I'm the guy that saved your fucking ass. They're the guys that were happy to sell you into the fire. And Ethereum did the same shit. The Ethereum Foundation sold the $1,500 fucking peak. They helped make that the top. They sold that shit. And they even brag about it like it's some fucking claim to fame that they dumped in everyone's heads. I find that fucking disgusting. So I'm out there telling
I
people
guess
about
where
the
we
real
were going
risks.
with this is it looks a bit scammy and cheesy.
Yes, it does, but that's because everyone else is a hypocritical piece of shit. If you go to Ethereum's website, they pretend the price doesn't exist. Do you think that the price doesn't exist? Because the rest of the world, that's all they care about. How dare you make a website about a fucking product that doesn't speak to the only thing that anybody participating in it actually gives a fuck about? What is the likelihood this shit is going to zero? Show me the fucking chart. What is the liquidity? How can I analyze the trades? How can I see whether it's likely to go up or not? How can I, like, Hex has the most honest and open trades in all of cryptocurrency. You can see every single person that bought, every single person that sold, what else they're holding, whether they made money, whether they lost money, how long they're staking for, how many referrals they had, who referred them. You can see fucking everything. We have the best stats in all of DeFi, the best stats of all of cryptocurrency. So I'm sorry that everyone else is a hypocritical piece of shit that thinks that their Ponzi schemes aren't Ponzi schemes because they don't write the fucking price on the homepage or talk about the historical price performance. There's one person in cryptocurrency that tells you that Bitcoin's up 1.1 million X right now, and it's fucking me. Me. I'm the guy that tells the truth about it. Nobody else says that because they're stupid. They don't read the fucking chart. The chart says Bitcoin's up 1.1 million X right now from a fucking penny. And Hex is only up about 50x, 60x from January 5th versus the dollar. Well, how much more legs do you think it has? Ethereum did 10,000x, more than 10,000x on Kraken when it went from 15 cents to $1,500 in less than 2.5 years. Those are the actual real fucking numbers. But I'm supposed to feel bad and demonized because I tell you the truth and show you the fucking chart and show you the real potential. And guess what? What I said came goddamn true. I said 2020 could be a year where ETH outperforms Bitcoin, Bitcoin outperforms the dollar, and Hex outperforms both. And if you look at the 2020 chart, Hex is the #1 appreciating high market cap coin in the fucking world. You go to nomics.com, it's top 22, top 23. You go to coinpaprika.com, it's like top 26. Everything I said has been right. And every single hater that's talked shit has been wrong. And I demand respect now. I demand my fucking respect now. They were all wrong. I was right. And I continue to be. So I'm sorry that other things that talk about price end up being scams, but I'm not going to let that censor my fucking free speech to tell the truth because people care about the fucking price. And why not? Why shouldn't they?
I mean, that's amazing and an answer. Like, I love it. Question on that, like, because obviously, like, there is like a little bit of
one more thing. What is owning a business? It's designing a system that accrues value for shareholders. That is what business design is. Every fucking business is designed to appreciate in value, period. And so I designed a cryptocurrency that was designed to appreciate in value, just like Bitcoin was. The fucking happening where the inflation rate drops every 4 years ain't in the white paper, bro. So the first pumpamental in cryptocurrency, the happening, designed only to make the fucking thing appreciate. Does Satoshi eat shit and get yelled at for that? That's hilarious to me because when I design something that's supposed to accrue value, I get fucking yelled at. And now Ethereum's trying to catch up with Hex. Ethereum's like, you know what? We need coin burning. We need EIP 1559 to help drive the value up. Hex has coin burning, motherfucker. Already driving the value up. Nice for Ethereum to try and catch up. You know what else Ethereum wants? Ethereum, you know what? We could use some staking to help lock those coins up, so to help the price. Oh, you guys are going to fucking do some staking? Well, guess who's already got staking? Hex. So everyone out there that talks shit is a fucking hypocrite and is just doing now, trying to copy what fucking Hex did. This is hilarious to me. Hilarious. And by the way, this is Ethereum, guys, okay? World computer, no processing power, garbage. Distributed autonomous organizations, complete and total failure, most of them hacked. Unstoppable code, really? Because you just increased the S-load price in gas by 3x and broke a lot of contracts, fuckers. So yeah, the code stopped. Oh, DeFi now. This one will actually work, is the nice part, because it has product market fit. People use this shit for speculation, and therefore we already see massive adoption. There's no question it's going to work. It's already working. But all that other shit, that was scam shit, promise shit, bullshit. They were wrong. And do they fucking apologize? No.
Okay,
Still
perfect.
Down 70% on price. Down 70% for 3 years.
I want to jump in on this bit here. I think it'd be great for you two to have a bit of a chat on this. Stefano runs a business utilizing the blockchain for setting up companies. I'm issuing equity in my business utilizing his smart company, so to speak.
Yeah, we call that.
Obviously, Richard, you've actually got a real business. Everyone else watching this, you're correct. It's all about price appreciation. What I'd love to discuss now is where is blockchain at, in your opinion? What has been achieved in the last decade, and you know, where are we going to go? What have we got coming forward? What are your thoughts here? I mean, I've heard you say many times it's a load of bullshit. A database is better. You know, for me, from the mid-90s, I was working and deploying the infrastructure for the internet, Cisco networks, Nortel switches, etc. I sort of compare what I'm seeing now, where, you know, we've got Mike Hearn and R3. We've got these conglomerates of banks moving onto that particular network. It's almost like VPNs, enterprise networks back in the mid-90s. That's the way I sort of see this playing out. You know, we're far from ending up on one public blockchain. Richard, where do you think we're going? What is the promise of blockchain? Where are we at right now, and where are we going?
Mostly a Ponzi scheme. Mostly a Ponzi scheme, which is fine, because if you keep having oscillating Ponzi scheme with boom and bust bubble, boom and bust bubble, boom and bust bubble, but you keep ratcheting higher every time, eventually you end up with enough economic mass to be a serious contender versus global currencies. So if the only way to bootstrap enough liquidity is for a bunch of speculators to get wrecked over and over and over again, fine. That's how it's going to be. Better they get wrecked in this and help create something beautiful in the world than wrecked in Enron or Theranos or Madoff's garbage. Like, there's all types of ways to get wrecked in finance. This one actually ends up making peer-to-peer open source cryptography and giving power back to the people. So that's nice. Blockchain is just a very slow, very expensive database that has the benefit of censorship resistance, unless you fall for the fake ones. And sometimes you can reduce your censorship resistance for higher throughput using federated security model, where you just have like 20 servers instead of 10,000. And that seems to work for a lot of people, because I've never seen any federated 20 server system shut down by the government yet. So that might be a high enough security level. We don't really know. Depends on how the threats evolve. So when you start to duct tape on your stupid token sales pitch, like I told you, that Uni airdrop token, right now, if you ever used hexdex.win, which is a fork of Uni, or normal Uniswap or whatever, you can claim $1,300 free. If you ever used it. As a matter of fact, if you ever tried to use it and your transaction got rejected, you still get $1,300 free. People say there's no such thing as free money. Ha ha ha. Millions of dollars was given to hex holders, literally for free, by the Uni token airdrop. Okay. And you can still claim it now, and you can claim it forever, and as long as you used Uniswap before September 1st.
Richard, I'll come back to my question though. I mean, obviously we're reviewing Hex here. We're going to follow your project for the next few months. We'll look at the utility. We'll discuss the price appreciation on a weekly basis. But I want to come back to the question I just asked you. Where do you see blockchain going?
It's all Ponzi right now, except for throughput. We have higher throughput with ZK rollups and optimistic rollups, where you have 1,000 TPS per.
Let me be more precise. What about what about the tokenization of everything? Bonds, stocks. You know, really removing those.
It's mostly illegal. It's mostly illegal
currently.
So, yeah, and will continue to be so, because the most advanced jurisdiction for the tokenization of securities is the state of Delaware in the United States, where they passed a law that said that you could have the ledger for shareholders on a blockchain. But caveat, we don't really care about that. We really only care about the ledger kept at the licensed transfer agent, in which there's only a couple of those that have been licensed. And you can do whatever you want on your blockchain shit, but it doesn't matter. The actual record that matters is this guy's physical ledger that we can go kick his door down if we want, the licensed transfer agent. So as long as you have a registered transfer agent, none of this blockchain shit matters at all. It's all duct taped on garbage, because you'll take your shares and be like, okay, I'm transferring my shares on the blockchain now. Okay, I did it. I transferred my shares on the blockchain. And then the dude in Delaware is like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to pretend you didn't. Now what? You lose. And you will lose, because that's what the law says. So tokenizing things is only useful for censorship resistance and regulatory arbitrage. So when you tokenize fiat and create stable coins, It creates regulatory arbitrage because people can trade them amongst themselves without having to go through the fucking middlemen. Okay, well, there's a useful regulatory arbitrage play where tokenization has worked. Why? Because people do want to censor currency transactions. But does anyone actually want to censor your fucking I own XYZ% of a company transaction? No, no one's trying to censor that shit. So it's mostly fantasy garbage, which is the reason you see no adoption. Blockchain's been around for 10 years. You see no adoption anywhere at all because it sucks. It sucks. The only thing that's good about this shit is the price goes up and that it's resistant to censorship. So when you try and put your shipping manifests inventory data on the blockchain, you're wasting your goddamn time. Use a normal database with fucking logs. You can see who tried to fuck with it in the logs, right? Amazon does 50% of all commerce on the internet. Do they use the blockchain? Nope. But they'll sell it to your ass. You can buy it on AWS, have fun, but they don't need that shit. And they're 50% of all the internet's commerce. They don't fucking need it. Nobody needs it. It's garbage. It's a slow, shitty, expensive database with invisible data rot where you manually have to take another computer to check that the stupid, shitty blockchain actually wrote the data you told it to, and it's still fucking there and it didn't get forked away. It's garbage. Like it absolutely sucks.
So a question on that, like, would you say that then, like, all the development that has been done on like the layer 2s or Ethereum 2.0 and all of those things, are those basically just making the system more scalable or faster so that trading can happen in a better way? That's kind of like, that's it?
Mostly, yeah. Mostly. Yep. And they do open up new use cases. So if you want to do microtransactions, then you can do that on a layer 2. If you want to do NFT art bullshit, you can do that on a layer 2. If you want to do incentive programs and loyalty programs, you can do that on a layer 2. That stuff's all great, right? And then when the layer 2 fails, you just have to wait a week to get your money back out into layer 1. That's fucking great. That's huge progress. I really do like that. But does it cause the price to go up? No, actually it increases the velocity of money, and increased velocity means reduced value. So you can look up the velocity of money on Wikipedia and see how they're related. If there's less velocity, this is what Hex does. It reduces velocity by causing lockups. And then when people want the currency, they have to buy it from somebody else, which causes the price to go up. If the velocity is high, then it's easier to get it. Then it's virtually increased the supply. So these high throughput, look, I can list you a bunch of high throughput systems that are ghost chains. No one needs the throughput. They're just empty. Most blockchains are empty. So there's a shitload of throughput there. Why aren't people using it? It's nearly free because no one fucking needs it. It's garbage. No one needs it. So like the only breakthrough that's actually happening in blockchain recently is ZK rollups, optimistic rollups, which give you 1,000 or 2,000 transactions per second per server instance per system, and DeFi, which is replacing the centralized FUCs. So the thickest order book for Ethereum USD in the world is on Uniswap. That is amazing. That is decentralized, peer-to-peer, unstoppable code replacing the fucking exit scamming, getting hacked all the time, middlemen, garbage, send me selfies, assholes, getting replaced. That's beautiful. So that is the system that has generated the most billionaires in cryptocurrency. If you look at who really makes money in cryptocurrency, it's exchange founders, token founders, and holders, and that's it. Maybe like 1 or 2 traders. The vast majority of traders get destroyed, annihilated.
So what have we got on blockchain then that will potentially improve people's lives and options?
Well, tons of shit. I mean, like if you're into trading and finance, a lot of things. But if you're into like pretending that we need to put houses on the blockchain, that shit don't work. Hey, the ocean came and swallowed this house. Okay, well, you have to update the blockchain. Okay, well, who do we trust to update it? This guy. Okay, well, then just let that guy run that shit in a SQL database and call it a day because you already trust that guy. Or you have a system that no human can edit, and then when there's an act of God and the house gets swallowed into the ocean, you can't update the fucking system. So anytime there's analog to digital conversion where a human being has to measure something and tell the blockchain what's going on, you can forget about using a fucking blockchain because that guy will just lie. That's the Oracle problem I told you about earlier. So Uniswap doesn't use oracles. It is an oracle. Hex doesn't use oracles. It is an oracle. So, you know, anytime you're relying on analog to digital conversion by a human, you're fucked. Oh, also, what if you put the New York Stock Exchange records on a blockchain They had to roll that shit back too because they accidentally published bad price feed data. The New York Stock Exchange itself. So even if you're the best, most honest blockchain in the world, you need to go edit that shit when the real world changes. So anything that has these humans and oracles in the way, I find gross and a huge waste. Things that don't have those things in the way, like Uniswap, Hex, Monero, ZK Rollup, ZK Snark, ZK Sync.io, all that stuff, that's all huge, great progress. And attacking and reducing the profit margins of people that milk their users for billions of dollars. If Coinbase is worth $1 billion, where'd they get the $1 billion from? Regulatory arbitrage took it out of the pockets of their customers. Do we need it? Yes. But do they make too much money? Yes.
So, Richard, I'm assuming you've, a lot of this chat's been about all anyone cares about is making money, and fair enough.
Yes.
We all do. You, I would imagine, have done pretty well for yourself in this space.
I retired at the age of 25 in 2003. I'm retired for fucking 15 years.
Well, I wouldn't say you're retired. You seem to be awake 24/7.
My retirement looks very active.
Content constantly. Oh, I mean, no, you're not retired.
I mean, I took 10 years off and showed my thumb up my ass and played video games, but then I started doing stuff again, like 2011. Or no, I mean, I started mining Bitcoin for fun in 2011, but like I guess I started producing content for crypto.
What's motivating you now, mate? I mean, retirement is sitting under a palm tree and becoming an alcoholic. What's motivating you now?
Well, I've always wanted to do the best I can do. And, I've got a book called SciVive, which you can download for free now, the draft version, t.me/SciVive, where I tell people all of the smart stuff that I know. How to get rich, how to write ads, how to hire people, what business to go into, good ways to lift weights, you name it. It's all there. Why does your ass have hair on it? How do you pee without spraying everywhere? This is all in the book. Like, interesting things. You're like, oh,
keep me up at night, Richard.
Yeah. So
actually, we share a passion. I know you're a big fan of Aubrey de Grey and the Sands Institute. I was chatting to him.
Well, that's the goal. So if I'm already rich and I've already been rich and the stuff, like the only cool thing I got recently is I got a new pillow for my back here. That's it. That's like, so okay, prices have gone up 100x. Launched a new crypto, all this shit. Like my life doesn't change. Like
so
nothing has changed.
What gets you out of bed? I mean, obviously you have a real passion for what you're doing.
I think right now, glory.
Glory.
I want Hex to dominate and crush every other cryptocurrency. Period. I want it to be the #1 value market cap crypto, and then I want it to transcend that. I want to see Hex change the world totally. That's what's driving me currently. And the fact that everyone is a disrespectful hater just brings more joy to my eyes. Because the next time Hex makes a new all-time high, I'm just going to shove it down everyone's throats again. Last time we were doing the constant new all-time high train, I had to change my username every couple hours because we were up so many extra X that day. I just can't wait to start murdering them with that roll again. Like, hey, everybody.
Revenge. Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, dude. Yes.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. Oh. I'm significance driven, man. I wear a bunch of jewelry. I socially signal. I speak loudly. I care about the respect of my peers. I do. And that gives my peers control over me. So I try and choose my peers very wisely. It's a healthy and wholesome thing that stops you from doing a Michael Jackson psychopath thing. A lot of people retire and fucking rot away because they just don't care about other people's opinion that much. If you care about what smart people think, it puts a hedge in you and keeps you in a good place. So, I'm unlikely to do the eccentric billionaire disappearing act, right? Because I like hanging out with people and getting feedback and, doing the best I can. The thing about, so I've been retired since 2003. I started trying to volunteer for the Sense Foundation.
You retired. Stop it.
Well, I mean, I've traveled the world in a hotel for 5 years.
You're a terrible retiree.
True. So like, I want to live longer, but I'm not so excited about dieting. Well, okay, then I need pills and technology, and so does everyone else. So my grandparents are dead, my dog's dead, parents ain't in good shape, and then I'm next on the chopping block, and then everyone I know, well, when are we going to put up a fight? I'm not doing anything with extra money anyway, and you can still get rich investing in biotech anyway.
Let's talk about this. Because I know you volunteered at the Sands Institute. I've actually got my mother on NMN. I'm sure you're familiar with that molecule. What do you take? What's your sort of?
Well, I mean, look, I hope David Sinclair's NMN stuff works out better than his last resveratrol kick did, and he's at the forefront. And single molecule activators of SIRT pathways, which simulate calorie restriction in mammals, is great because it's the only thing we know that actually extends mammalian lifespan reliably.
Yep.
But the gains you get in shorter lived animals greatly exceed the gains that you get in longer lived ones. So, as a healthy human being, you might get a 10 or 15%, which is fabulous. But as a mouse, you could get like a 60%. And as like a, fruit fly, you could get like 200%, shit like that.
But what do you take?
Well, nothing. I'm more of an Aubrey de Grey type without the beer. So Aubrey doesn't take anything. I don't take anything. He drinks a lot more beer than I do. We're waiting on something good enough to take. Maybe NMN is that. So after the launch phase is complete, I should be able to. So I got the book SciVive back from the editor. I had to review his edits. So far in my light browsing, it looked good. Slap a cover on it, which is like half done now, I guess, but slow going. And then, kind of rotate into helping SciVive do well, because having more money is not going to make me live longer. It's just not. But having better technology available will. So I want to start pushing that angle harder. So I want to transition into talking more about SciVive, and I would get even more press. I mean, I would get more press from the general public for SciVive than I have gotten for Hex. And then if I talk about them both at the same time, I founded $1 billion cryptocurrency, and I've been supporting longevity research for over a decade, and I wrote this amazing book that'll help you do all the same stuff I did. How's that sound? So I want to get the SciVive thing going within the next 6 months, like publish the book. I could do it probably quicker, but right now I just care about Hex.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean,
I want to see Hex going insanely viral on its own, and it has the tools to do that. Shittier things have done better spreading. So Plus Token, Cloud Token, BitConnect, just straight scams have gone viral. I want something that's beautiful and honest to go viral, which, by the way, has outperformed the ball in price, has outperformed the ball in durability, has outperformed the ball in features. It should annihilate all of those things.
I think we can sort of wrap up the Hex chat just on what you've just said here. This is what's always kind of worried me about sometimes your narrative comes across as, we've got 5,000 plus different tokens in the crypto space. And you've, so many times I've heard you say they're a fucking joke. This is just
most of them are
better. I've got these pumpamentals, why the hell would you buy this over that absolute dog shit? And I agree with that. We've reviewed, I think, 8 projects so far. I think you're the 9th. I'm super interested. I followed you for a number of years. I know Jorden got in on day one. I'll ask Stefano his thoughts in a moment. But yeah, look, I'm interested. But
I'll tell you what. Look at the things you can measure.
Dog shit. Is there a real innovation here, Richard? Is there something super special that we can finish this chat on?
Sure. It's the world's first actual implementation of the second most popular product at the bank, the time deposit. All the other staking that you hear about in cryptocurrency, or all the funds that are locked up, it's fake. They're not locked. You can remove them whenever you want. If there's no time component, then there's no locking value. It's just like your wallet. Your wallet, you can move your money whenever you want. Oh, you put some money as a liquidity provider on Uniswap, you can remove it whenever you want. Oh, you're mining some whatever, you can remove it whenever you want. That's not actual locking. That's not how CDs work. CDs monetize the time value of money. So Hex is the first thing. If you're a kid and you want to do well in school, you need to delay gratification. The majority of personal development is choose the longer term thing over the shorter term thing. So all of what works in life is delaying gratification. That's what Hex is. It's the embodiment of delaying gratification. It's got a better domain name. Hex.com is better than Bitcoin compoundword.com. Brand logo, better. Go in our chat room, 20,000 members, better. Menu that pops up with frequently asked questions. What, is there going to be a dump on the big payday? How do I get in without getting wrecked? Exclamation mark deal. All these things that we have, no other cryptocurrency has them. So we have more YouTubers making more videos. We've got there's so much amazing things going on in this system from an adoption and marketing perspective. And it addresses a larger market than Bitcoin does. Bitcoin just does currency. That's it. Hex does currency and time deposits, and nothing else does time deposits. Just it's unanswered market. It's amazing. Right now, if you're an average length, average size staker, you're getting 28% per year interest right now. Now multiply that times the USD gains, and you're looking at like hundreds of times profit. That's insane. And it's in the you could keep going with that. That it's Ethereum did a 10,000x with crappier everything. Ethereum, like their dream didn't even, it was just a scam. Like, oh, look, you can buy this ICO, that ICO, and this ICO, and that ICO, and everyone just lost all their money. Hex is the only honest, real project that tells you why it was developed, what it was designed to do. Oh, look, it actually did it, and has no security failures at all. It's 100% uptime. It's beautiful. Like, it's absolutely amazing. You have to try it.
Okay,
Go to hex.com.
I mean, on that note, I'm going to throw it over to my co-host here, Jorden. You've obviously been in there from day one for the purposes of the show we're making. If anyone would like to donate some Hex to us for the purposes of the show, so we can actually follow it on a weekly basis.
Good idea.
We'll put a link below where I've heard you talk about the tragedy of the commons, which I know only too well after spending 6 figures on promoting Bitcoin for 3 years and getting nothing back from the community.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah. So let's see, Hex people out there, we will follow your project on the weekly. Send us $10. It's anything, just so we can follow it on the weekly. Jorden, you've been in from day one. Tell us, are you going to buy more? Stick with what you got? Any questions for Richard at this point?
Yeah, the only question that I have, as we talk about Bitcoin, it's like a dinosaur now, right? And it's what, 10 years old? So if people are locking up for 15 years, like who's to say that Ethereum doesn't become obsolete in 5 years? Like and the code is locked for Hex, right? So what happens then?
Yep. All you do is airdrop the system state to the substrate of your choice. So 7 of the top 11 market cap cryptocurrencies launched on or primarily use Ethereum. Many of them transitioned to their own mainnets. EOS launched as a ERC20 token. Now they have their own mainnet. BNB launched as an ERC20. They have their own mainnet. Tether launched on Bitcoin and then moved primarily to Ethereum. And now they have USDT over a lot of different blockchains. TRX launched as an ERC20, has their own mainnet. So all that matters is that you have community consensus to airdrop the system state to a new network. So it could be a layer 2 built on top of Ethereum. So we've seen some projects already doing contract-based layer 2 in addition to just ERC20. So I know Synthetics just did one, and another one today did one on layer 2 as well. So Hex could be, consensus could be found to move it to a layer 2 on Ethereum or an Ethereum fork, or any of the other blockchain platforms which support Solidity code, of which there are a dozen. So there is no threat. Like if Ethereum dies, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you'll have a hiccup with like things being slower while people figure out the transition to a new network. But this has been done numerous times by numerous other billion-dollar projects. It's not actually that hard. Does that make sense?
Yep, totally.
Do you know how we airdrop Bitcoin holders Hex? Yeah. You would just airdrop the new network, the old tokens. So
for me, that was just like a big gap in the narrative. We kept talking about how everything's obsolete and like, okay, well, we're locking up on Ethereum for 15 years.
Well, Ethereum also has all the new scaling development. So it's the correct platform for numerous bunch of reasons. We're not beta testing someone else's crap where, oh, look, all these hacks. People already lost a lot of millions to make this secure. So now it's secure. So we're on the secure thing. And the thing that has all the liquidity, and the thing that has all the on-chain exchange, and the thing that has all the stable coins, and the thing that has all the innovation, that's where Hex is. It's a beautiful place to be. If for some reason that changes, then consensus can be found to airdrop system state. But I don't think that will be required anytime soon.
Stefano, a week ago, when I said we're going to be talking to Richard about Hex, you took a cursory look and your immediate response was, geez, that looks like a scam. After this chat, has that thinking changed?
Yeah. I mean, like, so my entire path was like, I have to apologize for that because like they both follow you for a long time. I actually had no idea, to be honest. So I had to like pick up and document it. And the first thing that I did was like checking on Twitter on my following, and there was one guy that I'm following that actually like mentioned that as like he invested in X, he took it out from there, and his tweet was like, I removed that because it looks like a scam. And then I look at the website, and I don't know, that UI, I understand that from like the story and how you're putting that down, it makes completely sense. But as someone that obviously had no information whatsoever, looking at that for a second, I was like, I don't know, that looks like kind of weird.
It is unfortunate that so many other cryptocurrencies are dishonest and pretend that price doesn't exist.
That's right.
That the only people that have the balls to talk about the price are scammers and exceptionally truthful people.
That's right.
And that's it.
You're 100% right on that, completely. And then after that, like obviously Sean gave me basically like a playlist of all your videos, and I started looking at them, and I start completely flipping as an idea on that and be like, okay, that's actually like a little bit different. This guy is behaving like in a total different way than what I was expecting. And no, during the conversation, I mean, like I'm still like on that side of being like that has been like very awesome. I love what you say. I love the fact that like you're very honest on like not being afraid on like tearing apart things, and you also been like very confronting of people that are like coming against you. So that's awesome to me. Like,
I destroy people for a hobby. It's so easy because I'm just right, and then they're not, and then winning is easier if you just start right. If I came up with something which I think really helps people that do understand Bitcoin, which apparently some people do. Bitcoin and Hex actually have a lot in common. Bitcoin inflates to reward miners. Miners sell down the price to pollute the environment to protect the network. That's the security model. In Hex, we do not inflate to pay miners. We only inflate to pay stakers, and stakers are paid to hold the price up. So in Bitcoin, miners are paid to dump the price, which they use to enrich mining companies and electricity companies. In Hex, stakers don't have negative externalities. They don't have mining bills to pay. They can just sit there, and the code continues to credit them with rewards with no effort on their own. That's positive price performance with better for the environment, and you don't have to keep replacing your machines as they become unprofitable to mine anymore. It's just so many amazing things there. The total hash rate in Bitcoin sets the difficulty. And in Hex, it's very similar. The total number of stakers sets the amount that you get paid per share. And then the share price only goes up, very similar to how the Hex hash rate kind of tends to only go up, the difficulty. So there's these analogies between Hex and Bitcoin that I think make it easier for people to understand. So in Bitcoin, as a miner, you're trying to get more hash rate. In Hex, as a staker, you're trying to get more shares. Total hash rate in Bitcoin equals total number of shares in Hex. The total value that's used to defend the Bitcoin network from attacks is kind of their total hash rate that they brag about. Well, in Hex, we actually have a share rate market cap where you can multiply the share price times the number of staked Hex and arrive at a market cap for how much value is locked protecting the value of the Hex network. There's these really cool analogies. So if you go, I added this to the homepage. If you look and it says, Bitcoin and Hex are alike or similar, and you click that link, it'll take you to the Twitter thread and it'll show you all of the cool similarities. And there are many. Like in Bitcoin, it hyperinflated from 0 coins to 18 million coins over 10 years. And in Hex, we just get rid of that hyperinflation phase. We front load it into the first year, and then we jump right to the very low inflation in 40 days. That's where we're at now on November 19th. And it's just like, there's so much similarities. And then once you understand that Bitcoin and Hex both inflate, they inflate for different reasons. I think the inflation in Hex is better for the environment, better for the price, better for the human psychology. And then you just realize that there's so much similarities. You're like, oh, well, I mean, if Bitcoin's not a scam, then Hex can't be a scam, because they're just very similar peer-to-peer consensus networks. They just have slight changes in this and that. You know what I mean?
on that part, like on future part, because like you mentioned, obviously that you want to bring Hex to be like the crypto, basically.
Well, I'm not doing it personally. It just happens to have traits which are causing people to emergently do that. So I don't pay all these Hex YouTubers you see. They just do it on their own. There's millions of volunteers that cause it to happen. I think that's important to mention because I want people to understand this thing is awesome, not because of me. It's awesome because it was just well designed, and now it's emergently awesome.
Do you think that this is like now kind of like the challenge of like, spreading the word, increasing the community and the adoption, or is there also like part of the developments, like new features, new things that can be
done?
It's all done.
I mean, look, the two new features that I saw appear that weren't necessary, but did happen. zksync.io lets you do high throughput transactions with Hex. And there's Hex NATO, which is a fork of Tornado Cash that lets you do anonymity with Hex if you want. But the anonymity set is small and the fees are high, so I don't think anyone should really bother with it. You're better off just swapping it to ETH and using the normal Tornado there. Those aren't really, that's like the butter. That's not the meal, right? The stuff is done. The consensus code is done. The contract is done. If you've already got something that does anonymity, throughput, and price performance, and for world's first blockchain time deposit, you're finished. Like, what's left? What are you going to add? A stable coin? Okay. What else? Margin trading. All right. And that's it. It's like this, it does everything, man. Like it's fabulous. That the main part that is beautiful about it is that the consensus code can't change. That's the best part of it, because in Bitcoin, the miners could decide not to have a halvening. They'd be like, oh, so we're supposed to get paid half as much today as we got paid yesterday. And maybe we're just going to remove that. Click a few buttons. They could do that. It's very unlikely to see something like that in Hex.
Fair enough.
I mean, what would you do if the miners did that? Yell, complain, make your own network? Better not be on SHA-256. They'll just 51% attack you at will. You're going to do a proof of work change? Okay, now the botnets are going to attack you.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, well, you better just hope, you better just trust that those Chinese miners that won't talk to you on Twitter are more friendly than they were during the BCH fork when Bitcoin had half the value, when BCH had half the value of Bitcoin. You better hope those miners have gotten a lot nicer. Do any of you guys even know a Bitcoin miner? I don't know anyone that mines Bitcoin.
I know a couple.
How safe is that?
But
it's pretty hard to maintain social consensus with people you can't talk to.
It's fair. It's fair. It's a valid argument. Absolutely.
So Stefano,
what?
Obviously,
I should mention this, by the way. If you guys want to trustlessly turn Bitcoin into Hex, you can go to bridge.renvm or something. It's on the website on hex.com. You can transfer your Bitcoin into ERC20 wrap Bitcoin and then transfer that into Hex. And it takes about an hour because you have to wait for 6 confirmations in Bitcoin because Bitcoin sucks. But you don't have to do signups. You don't have to do AML KYC. You don't have to send selfies anywhere. And if you're worried about the process or the risk, you can do a small amount and just iterate it over and over again. And then eventually you're out of Bitcoin. You're out of the old and into the bold. I think I'm quoting beer slogans at this point. It's like a Michelob slogan.
Well, Richard, we will be following, having a really close look at it every week, if not more than once a week on our show, 1 Bitcoin and 32 ETH. We'll put a link below. If there's anyone in the Hex community, we only literally need $10 for the purposes of our competition show. We disclose all the donations from any of the projects that we've had. On average, I think what have we had, like a couple of $100 from each project to actually review it each week, look at the utility and trade it. So in a nutshell, Stefano, let's forget about our private accounts here. Obviously, we know that Jordan's been in from day one. Your feeling on Hex compared to?
Well, I was not an X, as I was not aware of the existence of Hex since a week ago.
I'm surprised by that because you know pretty much every DeFi project out there. So what's going on with your marketing, Richard? ramp it up. Stop sleeping so much, mate.
You have to stop playing too many video games on that.
I do not play games. I used Addicted for years and I kicked it, and I'm not tempted.
These guys are obsessed with Axie Infinity at the moment. That's sort of our the darling that we've reviewed so far.
If you're gonna do trading of hex, I made a video on the homepage of how to analyze the hex market and the traders and look up who's staking and who's not and who dumped the price and who bought and all that stuff. It's right on the homepage.
We'll be talking about that on the weekly
That's
on our show,
cool.
without a doubt. So
no, but answering the question, like I think that like especially like because I think I could be a typical user, you know, having like a first look, and there is like so much buzz, and obviously like as Sean mentioned, that the Bitcoin maximalist and the random people on Twitter and so on, like it's very easy to get in contact with the X name first in a negative way than in a positive way. At least for me, it was like that.
Yep.
And no,
that's
really,
opportunity. That means you're early. The fact that Hex is being manually gate kept off of the front page of CoinGecko and off of the front page of CoinMarketCap is opportunity. And it's being starved of attention that it deserves.
Sorry, what did you say?
CoinMarketCap forcibly forces Hex onto page 3 when it belongs on page 1. Hex is a $1.5 billion market cap right now.
What?
It's a top 20 coin, but it's being forced onto page 3 by CoinMarketCap manually.
Did they ever
explain
why? Answer that in any possible
way?
way?
They have a fake excuse that they give. They just say, we can't tell you why we do this to coins because then they would try and game us. But you need to be on more exchanges with more material trading volume.
But you're like, would make it a top 20 coin is what you're saying.
Well, it's already on 3 of their data exchange partners. So if you go on their golden boy list of data partners on CoinMarketCap, Hex is already on 3 of them. And it's on HitBTC and it's on 25 other exchanges and was 40% of Uniswap's volume forever and is top 20 or top 15 global liquidity on Uniswap now. There's absolutely no excuse. There's $3 billion of Bitcoin holders minted their Hex using the code. $3 billion. Are you going to pretend we don't deserve a fucking top page spot? You're going to pretend that, we're no longer CoinMarketCap ranking. We're CoinMarketCap and whatever the fuck we want to do shoved you on page 3.
You feel like it really sort of boils down to you and the fact you have been sort of really at the forefront of Bitcoin.
Sure.
Capitalism.
Yeah, it could be they just don't like me.
To the other 5,000 projects that have popped up.
Hey, you know what? If they want to fuck over the tens of thousands of people that have put their blood, sweat, and tears into Hex that have nothing to do with me, they just love the project. If they want to fuck all those guys over just to get me, just to get back at me, we'll see how it works out in the end. Because someday I'm going to find out the human that works there that fucked Hex. I'm going to find out their name, and so are all the Hexicans. And there will be there will be a fucking an interesting event. You ain't going to fuck Hex in its ass for a year and not see retribution. You're not. It's disgusting.
Hey, Richard, what about Uniswap? I mean, Uniswap is supposed to be decentralized, but how is it that they wouldn't list you and they wouldn't, had the highest liquidity? Like, what's up with that? If it's decentralized, then it should be code.
Yes, they apparently fixed that with their lists feature. Right. So you don't have to use the default list from Uniswap. You can use the one inch list, and then Hex is on there. Or you could use ethhex.com, which is a fork of the Uniswap front end. And then it acts as a premier coin there. I think that the hatred for Uniswap's gatekeeping is reduced by the fact that they gave millions and millions of dollars of free Uni token to Hex liquidity providers and users. Yeah. So the several millions and millions of dollars makes you hate them a little bit less, right?
Yeah, Jesus.
So yeah, they still don't have Hex added to the default list, but being able to edit the default list is a feature of their duct taped on token. Which I think is funny because a human has to do that. That code that you upload to an AWS server is human uploaded. So the fact that they have a Uni token, which decides what some human is going to upload somewhere, that doesn't sound trustless to me. That sounds like some duct taped on bullshit. But that's fine. Like, okay, people wanted to buy the duct taped on bullshit so much that they gave millions and millions of dollars to Hex holders.
The duct tape, I love it. On that note, Richard, I doubt very much you're going to answer this question, but if you had a gun to your head and you literally had to buy 3 other tokens,
Ethereum and 3 other tokens other than Hex. Okay, Hex, Ethereum. How long do you want to hold the thing for?
Up to you.
No, well, long term, 6 months. It's long term.
Crypto long term.
That's fucking long term.
It's really hard to say, man, because whether you make money speculating or not doesn't matter whether
What do you think
the
of
project's good.
XDAI?
Which one?
XDAI. Stake.
It's another scalability play. And there's how many ETH 2.0 killer scalability plays now? Shitloads. So if you get in early, okay, cool, it might pump. But does that mean it's going to get adoption? Maybe not. But does adoption matter to price? Maybe not. It's just a different game. So you're like, did you know Unity token was going to come out? No. Did you know the price was going to go from $1 to $8 within 2 days? No. Did you know it was going to go from $8 to $2 within 3 weeks? No. It's just a different.
This is kind of why I'm asking you this question, because clearly, I laugh at the fact that you call it this duct tape. What is it? It doesn't really have a utility. Yes, okay, maybe.
Yeah, but that don't mean it's not worth $1 billion right now.
It's a hype token, but
before 8 times more supply comes out in the next 4 years.
Yeah. But what do you see in the space if you were from a investing from a fundamental point of view?
Okay, so I'll answer you from the technical point of view, but that don't mean you're making money, because what makes money is people buying that shit. For instance,
correct.
Tether was a multi-billion-dollar project with huge adoption, more traded. There's more Tether traded than any other token in the world, more than Bitcoin, more than anything. It ran entirely on the Omni network, and the Omni network did $200 US of volume a day. $200. So the Omni network supported a multi-billion-dollar project and made $200 a day volume.
Yeah.
Well, oops, I guess real world adoption don't mean fuck all for price, because that proves it right there. And then they moved all those transactions primarily to Ethereum, which drove the Ethereum price of transactions up, but it didn't do anything for the purchasing demand of ETH. I'd be happy to see all the Tether removed. I mean, Tether is still, in the last 3 hours, 20% of Ethereum transactions. And over the last 24 hours, about 14% of Ethereum transactions, with Uniswap V2 being about 27% over the last 24 hours. So, we have adoption of stable coins, regulatory arbitrage, beautiful, really works. We have layer 2s coming out, which really work. So we've got, ZK rollups on zksync.io. You can really send cheap transactions. It would cost millions of dollars to airdrop 250,000 people using layer 1, but using layer 2, you could do it for about 150 grand, maybe 100 grand. So I believe in layer 2. I believe in automated market maker replacements for exchanges. I believe in the anonymity tech, but no one else cares. So there's just no money in it. Because when people bought Bitcoin, what they really thought what they were getting was Monero. They're like, untraceable transactions. You're like, but everything's traceable as shit. What are you talking about? On Coinbase, if you send your money somewhere they don't like after you bought it, they close your account. They watch what you do with your Bitcoin after you bought it.
Change next year if Simon Dixon's correct, and they start trying to stick needles in us for universal basic income payments from central bank issued digital currencies. That was a really interesting chat the two of you had on that.
Yeah. So, I believe in layer 2s. I believe in anonymity. No one else seems to care. I believe in Ethereum DeFi just taking over, making a huge impact, fucking up all the centralized exchanges. So unless you have fiat on-ramp, like Binance.com doesn't have a fiat on-ramp. They outsource all that stuff. Binance.Jersey does, or .us has fiat on-ramp, I think. But if you're a crypto only play, a centralized crypto only play, DeFi is going to eat your lunch. So on the homepage of Hex, do I promote any centralized exchange whatsoever? Nope. But I link to the Ren VM way to transfer your Bitcoin into Ethereum and then into Hex. So we promote things like on those systems, by the way, even though that's federated, and there's like a central entity that actually there's like 6 guys that hold the actual keys to their hundreds of millions of dollar Bitcoin that's wrapped in there. So it's kind of fucked up. As long as you're iterating it and only exposing yourself to a little bit of that risk at a time, then you're better off, right? So you want to, anytime you interact with exchanges or doing a transaction, you want to do small parts so they can only fuck you for the last part. They can't fuck you for a big chunk because they will fuck you. Like exchanges ain't nice, you know? So I believe in DeFi just killing anything the centralized guys are doing currently.
What about DeFi's ability to actually replace some of the traditional financial systems?
On-ramps. We're still fucked with on-ramps. We need to get the money out of the existing financial system, which means we need to receive bank wires. I would love for you to have some place to buy Hex with a bank wire. There isn't any. Your best bet is to buy Ethereum with a bank wire and then turn it into Hex. So you have to have Ethereum anyway to perform staking because you pay for your gas with it. So you have to buy some Ethereum anyway. So you can just buy more to get Hex, fine. And the most liquid markets in the world for Hex are Ethereum markets on the Ethereum Hex pair. But in general, for DeFi to replace normal finance, we need those fucking on-ramps where people can take their existing fiat bag and get it into crypto to free it from the horror of normal banking. So we're going to need those regulatory arbitrage on-ramps for decades to come.
Yeah. Stefano, comments?
I agree. Like, I agree. 100%.
The world would be better off if we had 10 more Coinbases in every country. The world would be a better place. And Coinbase would have lower fees.
That's true.
We didn't actually finish the question I asked you, Richard. Come on, give us
The name some tokens one.
Give us three other.
Well, I say
give us three
Ethereum,
other.
isn't that enough?
Ethereum, Monero, and
You haven't thought about this before?
well, it's like I haven't been playing the speculate on shitcoins game.
Look, to be
'Cause I'm
honest,
playing-
I'm really asking you that because I was just wondering whether Bitcoin.
No,
was
I haven't. I care about Hex. So I talk about Hex. I don't care if some other thing like.
I know you don't like talking about your own.
It's like, I mean, I talked about Unitoken right now, right? And look at it's a shitty duct taped on token that's worth $1 billion now out of thin air. They gave 250,000 addresses, $2,000 free dollars.
Let me ask you a different
do that.
question. Let me ask you
It's
a
not
different question on this topic. Price of Bitcoin in 5 years.
5 years. $42K.
Okay. That's very specific.
It's very specific.
Just a guess.
That makes sense.
Your guess is going to get better when you get closer to the fucking day. Like,
Being pretty accurate on your Bitcoin calls when I was following you.
well, I mean, the math on this one is you have increased economic mass is harder to move. So you have prolongation of cycles. So if this were the old days, the bear market would already be over. We'd already be in new all-time highs. So we're extending the amount of length that it takes to get to a new all-time high. Used to be a max of like 3 years. Now it's been longer than 3 years. Okay. Well, maybe it's not been. It's the cycles are getting longer. So now you have to wait for a longer time to get your new all-time high, and it's less high than the other all-time highs used to be. So you have to try and account for like when the FOMO cycle is going to kick in, and then it might not. Like Ethereum might just flip in Bitcoin. That's where all the new tokens are. It's where all the new innovation is. It's where the throughput is. It's where the security is. It's where the bug bounties are. It's got more profit potential because it dipped lower. Hex is built on it. Everything else is built on it. It's just like, why wouldn't Ethereum flip Bitcoin? They're talking about doing CME futures for it.
Do you think Ethereum's a better investment than Bitcoin over the 5 year period?
Oh yeah, over the next any period, absolutely any period. Ethereum is going to murder Bitcoin over any period. It's just infinitely better. Like there's no comparison. But because Bitcoin has more on-ramps and more regulatory certainty in like the big whatever, like Stripe bought 50 million Bitcoin. They didn't buy 50 million ETH. That's profit potential for you if ETH turns out to be a better network. But as it stands currently, you know, Michael Saylor and the Square guys have bought Bitcoin instead of ETH. So it has some pricing power still.
Do you think it would be sound financial practice for anybody that owned a basket of cryptos to have Bitcoin if there were 5 or less in that basket? Or you think
I don't give a fuck about Bitcoin.
You don't give a
anymore.
fuck. You don't give a fuck about Bitcoin.
It's just not good enough. It's just not. I
Man,
mean, I hope the price goes up because it's going to make everything else go up.
It's slightly disappointing to, well, it's very disappointing to hear that. I mean, I learned a lot about Bitcoin from you.
It's okay, but it's just slower and more expensive and less secure. And
I'm not going to say I'm going to agree with you either, because I really think that, you know, that network effect, the amount of people that know Bitcoin now, I really think it's.
But that's worse, not better. You've tapped out the easy money. You emptied the gold bugs. They can't FOMO anymore. Everyone that goes full-time crypto, they can only sell. They can't buy. That's worse, not better.
To me, it feels like Hex is something for people in the know. You know, people were the new entrants that come into this market, and you know, and that includes pension funds, the institutions. They're buying Bitcoin, not buying.
I don't mind them that. That's fine. I hope Bitcoin price goes higher, but it's like, okay, you buy a Ferrari, and then people ask you like, well, how do you feel about the BMW M3? You're like, well, it's okay for a slow sedan, you know, but I drive a Ferrari, you know. It's just not the same planet. Like, yes, Bitcoin's okay.
By the way, Richard, what sort of car do you have?
I can't tell you.
Why not?
I don't dox myself.
Oh, come on, man.
I don't. I used to have a couple twin turbo Lexuses. I mean, I can't tell you. I don't dox myself. Maybe one day I'll do video.
You don't dox yourself. We know where you
No, nobody knows where we live, and nobody knows, you know, what coins they own, and you know, it's just better. It's safer.
It's fair.
Because it's a lot of fanboys out there. You don't want somebody like, you know, hey, can I get a loan? No. Like, you never, you know, people, the internet's not the most friendly place.
Strike that question off my list. Okay.
Does that happen often, that they ask you like for a loan or free money or something?
Usually people are scared to do that with me, but I've seen it happen to other people. So people like show me a little bit more respect in that way. Like, they know I'm not about the bullshit so much. But other people get fucked with more that are like more friendly, I guess. So, you know, when's the last time someone, you know, like met you and just did something amazing for you in person? It's rare. You know what I mean? It's like, unless you're a hot chick, your ability to really greatly benefit my life is like reduced, you know? It's like, what are you gonna do? Give me money? I have enough money. It's like, maybe if you have a skill, if I can hire you or something, right? Like, you're a developer, then that could be some type of synergy, right? But you'll see me at one of these events and you'll see how it is. When COVID's over, we'll see each other at a blockchain event for sure, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really seem to. I mean, obviously, I've been following you for a number of years. From what I can tell, you've lived in some similar or the same places as myself. Thailand, Marbella. I've heard you mention. I believe you're based on the east coast of the US. Not that I'm trying to dox you here, mate. But,
I've lived a lot of places. I lived in a hotel 5 years.
Where's been your favorite place you've lived?
I don't know, man. Like, South America is fun if you want to have servants for $200 a month. That's interesting. And then if you get pulled over, you can pay your fine right there to the cop if that's your kind of thing. But then you discover the downside of that. You're like, oh, actually, this shit's not safe. So, and then, you know, it's, I like people. I can't tell you the doxing thing. I wish I could. I could just say, if you live in countries that have better stats, then you're going to get better outcomes. So if you live in France, you're going to have better healthcare outcome. If you live in Norway, you're going to have better like retirement fund outcome. If you live in Australia, you're going to have like, I don't know, better driving outcomes. Speed limits are lower, right? Like,
better curb stomping.
You like, you know, if you live in the States, you're going to have riots in the street. Okay, well, are you into the riots and the street shit? I'm not. So that's not for me, you know?
So you're not in the US?
I'm not telling you. You're a good investigative journalist over here. It's like, tell me where you are.
You live in a castle, don't you, Richard? We're trying to figure out where.
Crypto castle.
Give us a clue.
Yeah. No, I never want to see you in person unless you grow like much bigger, beautiful breasts and blonder hair. Then we could talk.
Sean,
Other than that, it's like, no.
Jordan's the one living in Bangkok. Maybe we can. You can probably go get surgically enhanced.
Check in the neck. Check in the neck.
Yeah.
So I think we covered all the good stuff.
We did, mate.
I mean, imagine if you could have bought Bitcoin when it was $1. Hex isn't even a year old. It's not even on the front page of CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap yet. People that are in crypto are just now hearing about it. Simon Dixon didn't hear about it when I told him about it, even though $3 billion of Bitcoin holders minted their coins. Interesting, you know?
Actually, probably that's my last question or last topic before we wrap up tonight. I think you've done a good job on telling us about Hex. We'll obviously put all the links below for people that are interested, where you can go and buy it and get involved. We'll be covering it on our show on the weekly. So yeah, you mentioned Simon Dixon. He's actually coming on this channel in the next few days. The interview you did with him, I thought, was very measured. Probably the most ridiculous one I've ever seen was you and Peter McCormick. For me,
first one or the second one?
Oh, we watched with
Scammer!
Did them both.
Fucking scammer!
I mean, what?
You're a scammer! I'm just
Awesome.
recreating it. Sorry.
One of the things that worries me about Bitcoin. I mean, clearly Peter's.
Do you want me to tell you how that worked out? By the way, he mentioned this guy that analyzed price. His fuckboy fund went out of business. Adamant Capital went right out of business.
Right.
So the little fuckboy blocked me on Twitter because I said like he don't know shit about price, and then his little fucking fund went under. Lol. And then Peter, the shit that he promotes, exit scam people, just took all their money. Can't remember which project did that, but somebody just took all the users' money. So I called him a scam piece of shit to his face and said, "You're the guy scamming, not me, buddy. I'm the guy giving away free videos, free coins, free books.
He makes 80.
You're the guy out there getting people wrecked."
Yeah.
And I was right, and he was wrong. Willy Woo, his fucking fund went out of business as well.
Willie's actually one of my mates.
His fund got wrecked, homie.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I like his fan fiction shit. It's fun to read the like, oh, you know, all the fucking cool ideas and whatnot. But when the rubber meets the road, his fund got destroyed, nuked. So I was right. He was wrong. My shit's up, his shit's down. And it just happens over and over and over again as the years go by. And every once in a while, you want to go back and review history and be like, hey, how's it going, everybody that was wrong and wrecked and disappeared now? You know,
You still trade other cryptos, Richard?
nope.
Not at all.
Trading's death, dude. Don't fucking bother. Who gets rich in crypto? Holders, founders of exchanges, and founders of currencies. And that's it. Traders get annihilated constantly. Where do you think all the extra free profit comes from?
Fundamentals. You know, we're reviewing Hex, and thank you, very much for your time. So you know, it's primarily fundamental investments that we're making. But yes, we do trade the projects that we're reviewing here. So
I would highly advise against that.
we're not sitting there looking at a green 9 on a 2-minute candle and this sort of thing. But well, Jorden probably is. How'd that work out for you today?
If you're going to trade the TD Tom DeMark indicator, maybe you should go learn from Tom DeMark, because he's in the business of teaching for money, and maybe he knows better than the copycat dumbass that has been habitually wrong about. If you want to see Tone Vase versus Richard Hart, go on Cointelegraph's YouTube channel.
I've seen it.
Watch.
I know Tone very well.
I crush Tone in person. By the way, it's not even his real name, right?
I know. I checked into a cruise with Tone, and he handed over his passport, and they gave him a blank look.
Yeah. It's the amount of shit that I have.
Is Richard Hart your real name?
Crazy to me. No, my real name is Richard Schuler.
I know.
SCHUELER.
Yeah.
I like me.
You used
I'm
to
awesome.
shoot Viagra, didn't you? Out of Panama.
I used to know a lot of people that used to promote a lot of things. So
yeah.
If you're on the internet in the early 2000s, there was a lot of things that were popular. Cash advance loans, sex toys, miracle cleaners, you name it. Mortgages. Now times are harder. Like, it's harder to fucking... Our email list, we don't even mail it because it doesn't get delivered. So we've got thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people that are on the Hex mailing list. They don't even get mailed because the mail just goes to the fucking spam box. So I have to actually set up a server farm and warm up IPs to mail my own fucking users. What? What is this shit? It's too much effort. It's literally too much effort to mail my own fucking users. So
Yeah.
it's hilarious. I mean, it's tragic really, but because I would like to tell them about all that free uni money that some of them probably just have sitting there, a few $million worth, but I'm being fucking restricted by, Google. So all right.
Cool. Richard, listen, I don't know whether it's early in the morning for you or late at night, but we will wrap it up. We really
right.
appreciate you giving
It's good talking to you guys.
time. We've really enjoyed this chat. We will do a bit of an edit on this and definitely cover Hex in our next episode, which is will be on Wednesday.
I think $711 million of Hex credited on the big payday in 40 days is a pretty big deal. It's going to be very interesting.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, it obviously would be great for you to let people know about us on your channel somehow. I'm not quite
As
sure.
soon as you guys have this posted up, I'll tweet it everywhere.
Cool. All right, dude.
It's good talking to you guys.
Yeah, no,
Thank you.
all very much
you,
enjoyed
Richard.
it. I've been following you for a long time, and I think you might have. Stefano's been very quiet tonight, but he's a very astute investor.
All right.
Yeah, I've been listening because like one thing that I learned is that if you don't know something, just shut up and listen. And that's exactly what I've done. When I had a question, I ask it, you answer that. And yeah, I mean, I really, really enjoy the conversation. I think that like, I would say that people should actually like spend a little bit more time on like digging on like what you're doing and like, you know, the things that you're like posting and so on. Cause to me, it really like shows a black and white between like not having you in the picture and having you in the picture. So
Right.
it's quite interesting.
Well, I'm glad that you guys asked some good questions. I mean, this rabbit hole goes very deep. You can get in there. There's a lot of very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff.
That's true. That's true.
Like a share price that only goes up. How does that work? Sounds like a Ponzi scheme. It's an analog for compounding interest. So we had two options. We could either give existing shareholders more and more return all the time, which would mean we would write to the database constantly forever, or we could just reduce by a single number the amount of shares the new guys get, and mathematically they're equivalent because it just maintains the ratio of new guys to old guys. And so it's just computation more efficient to adjust the new people's inputs with a single number and a share price than to give tons of shares numerically to thousands of database entries. It's just mathematically equivalent, but computationally more efficient with less writing. And it's also what Bitcoin does. So Bitcoin has a difficulty adjustment that's a single number that updates every 2 weeks. Well, we're very similar to Bitcoin in that way, right? Like we have a share price, Bitcoin has a difficulty. There's a lot of analogies. It's very cool.
Okay, Jorden, we're obviously about to wrap up. Any final questions for Richard before we go?
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens on the big payday and after.
Me too. I mean, imagine now, like right now, the adoption amplifier can absorb a lot of buy pressure because there's supply there. But once that's not there to absorb buy pressure, where does the buy pressure go? Free market. So it's going to be very interesting.
Uniswap.
Cool.
Probably.
Stefano, closing questions or thoughts?
Well, thank you. Like you literally gave us like 2 hours of your life, so appreciate that. And thank you for answering like all the questions and the doubts and like everything basically. Much appreciated.
He is actually one of the biggest cynics on the planet. So yeah.
He's in a great industry to be a cynic because there is no shortage of bullshit. Exit scams, rug pulls, admin keys, oracles, pure trash, no product market fit, just everywhere. It's very common.
And Richard, for myself, mate, I've obviously followed you for a number of years. It's been a real pleasure finally having a chat with you. Yeah,
I hope to speak to you guys again.
Yeah.
I'll promote this thing. It seemed very nice.
Excellent. Thank you, brother. Catch you later.
Talk to you guys.
Nice
Bye.
one. Bye now.
See you.